What is up, everybody? Oh, yeah. Check it out. Ha. Okay, anyway, I know I kind of left you all hanging on the last video, and I know that you are seeing some differences on the board between then and now. I kind of realized 30-minute videos of me just gluing strips on these things gets a little monotonous. So what I wanted to do is I went ahead and filmed ahead. So I do have videos of putting all the strips on, but what I wanted to do here was actually, give you some action shots of of different work, kind of show you the ins and outs of what we need to do to get this thing off of the strong back. Right here, I'm just going to start out by trimming the edge profile down a little bit, getting all that waste lumber off the side. It'd be a lot easier reaching underneath there to cut those contact points off, because we did glue those on with some pretty tacky hot glue, and I mean this thing is still rigidly fixed to that strong back. It worked out really well. I was surprised with the hot glue. Definitely gonna do it again. But here I'm just using one of those carbide multi-tools, or carbide bladed multi-tools. Doing about a finger's width between the blade and the edge of the chine. I don't want to get too close right here, because when I go to final trim this, I'm gonna use one of the close cutting router bits, that'll actually, there we go, a flush cut router bit that will cut the strips actually flush with the sides of the board. So I'm just going to cut off some trash lumber right here. It's kind of nice to see the contour of the board coming along. Got a little smoke going on. Probably should have had, like a mask on or something like that, but when you get in the middle of it, kind of get caught up, don't want to stop. These last couple strips are some of the wood that came out of my new lumber order from Jarvis Boards. And if you notice, I started out with the 3/8 wide strips, and then I moved to 13/16 strips, and then I went to 1.5 wide strips. So you can definitely notice the difference in space that they're taking up. I only used that 4 strips to take up the last little bit before I put in those darker color cedar strips, which are outstanding, by the way. I love that. The bottom of this thing turned out almost exactly how I wanted it to. Pretty happy with it. There we go. Oh, check that out. Almost looks like a paddleboard. I'm just going to get these things trimmed up here, little by little. Watch your speed on the multi-tool. It's going to make a big difference for you. I can't remember if I had it on like a 4 or 5 right here, but it will make a huge difference on the cutting. So as you're running that multi-tool through that wood, play with the speed a little bit and kind of find the sweet spot. Hearing protection, guys, don't forget that. It does get pretty loud. I mean, we don't always wear the best PPE in the shop, but earplugs are cheap. It's easy insurance. Everybody wants to hear, so especially if you were born with it, might as well keep it as long as you can. Look at this, just a little bit more to go. Just be really careful, guys, when you're trimming these edges like this. Like I said, this isn't the finished trim yet. That's going to be done with the flush cut router bit. Right now, I'm just trying to get some of the trash off the side of the board. Don't run into the edge of the board with that blade, because it's going to be a pain in the neck trying to cover that up later on. Definitely don't want to do that. My male cat just jumped up on my lap, so if you guys can hear purring, that's not me. Always makes for a interesting video. There you go. That's Squirrel, everybody. Squirrel meet the world, or all 3 people that are going to watch the video. All right, just about ready to get this thing knocked off of here. Cover up all your slips, trips, and falls. Don't want to snap an ankle in the shop or anything, so. A little bit of housekeeping. I know, that's boring. Maybe? Is it gonna get in there? Maybe? Oh, nope. There we go. Okay. Just trying to figure out right here how we're gonna get this thing knocked off. At this point, I'm realizing that hot glue stuck really well. So I'm gonna have to get a more rigid tool to knock these things off of there. I was going to use a hammer at first, but I think I ended up just going with a large combination wrench because it was thin enough to fit in between the paddleboard and the strong back. So I just started lightly tapping those things till I would, break the adhesion between the hot glue and the strong back. Surprisingly, it took quite a bit of effort to do it, but aside from using wood glue or epoxy or CA, I think it's probably the best route to go. I cannot wait to get some fiberglass on this thing and actually see, what that cedar is going to look like once we get a clear coat on it. It's going to be fun. Almost there. I actually broke a couple of these things off the frame, so be really careful. Uh-oh, look at that. We got some movement. I think I had 1 or 2 more stuck right here that I didn't get off all of the way. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, look at that. Bam. Oh, and just like that. Hell yeah. Look at this bad baby. Look at that. Isn't that's going to be beautiful, man. I love it. I love that. Hell yes. That is going to be a sweet board. Yeah, you can still see all the glue lines on there. That's, eventually we'll get all that chipped off and sanded down. Yeah, okay, now that we got this thing flipped over, we're going to have to cut off all those mounting tabs definitely, you don't want to try to snap them off. I ended up using the multi-tool again on these. It made super fast work. I think these frames are made out of birch, but yeah, that blade burns right through it super fast. Don't hide your tools from yourself. I don't recommend it. It's not a fun game to play. I unintentionally do it all the time. So, yeah, heed my warning, please. I'm the international champion of hide and go seek with my own tools. Just nice and easy. Keep in mind, we don't want to take material away from these frames. So you want to make that cut flush with the surface of the frame. Just make sure that contour stays. Don't take away from it. If you need to, cut them a little bit proud, because after this we're going to have to sand everything flush anyway, kind of like we did to the bottom before we started stripping it. So yeah, if you're worried that you're going to cut into the bulkheads, just go ahead and cut them a little bit proud. You know, you can leave a 1/16 of an inch, or I mean, leave an eighth if you need to. You know, throw some 80 grit sandpaper on your sanding bar and go to town. It comes right off. Again, don't forget to put your ear protection back in. These things are super loud. And of course, you're doing it on a wooden frame, you know, so it reverberates quite a bit louder. The neighbors enjoy it so much. That's why I need to be doing this in a shop out in the middle of the woods. Then I can have all of the little forest animals come to my shop and watch me build projects from wood. I'm not kidding. I would love to be surrounded by deer and quail and, squirrels. It'd be a good time. Like the scene in, what was that? Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, where he makes the wild call and all of his animals come and land on his arms. You know, like that, but with deer and forest creatures. Huh. Battery swap. Definitely going to want to get all of the wood scraps and sawdust out of the inside of the board right here, because the next step coming up after we get this thing all sanded is we will be sealing the entire inside of this paddleboard. Oh yeah, look at that. Be mixing up some denatured alcohol inside of our epoxy mixture. That helps the epoxy soak into the wood way better. And we'll end up doing 2 coats of the sealing epoxy. A little close up, just so you can see the cutoff tabs. Showing right here the parts that we're going to reinforce on the inside with epoxy. If you mix up a good, 20 or 30 minute epoxy, it should be thick enough, that it's not going to sag when you're reinforcing your gussets. If it does, you can always add micro balloons. And then, yeah, we are going to coat every surface inside of this thing. It's probably like the most time-taking and arduous task of building any watercraft like this, because before you start putting the top on, it has to be completely sealed on the inside. If it doesn't, any moisture that leaks inside of it. And I mean, these things are going in the water. Let's be honest, it's going to get water inside of it at some point. That's just going to lead to rot down the road. You know, if you don't have it properly sealed, that water is going to get in. It's going to stay in there, and yeah, your boat will literally rot from the inside out. So let's just keep from having that happen. Right here, taking my construction knife and just cleaning off all the little glue nibs. You know, and as you're gluing those strips on, you're gonna get glue that drips down inside of it. So I'm just trying to make sure I get all those off. If you hit them with your sanding bar, they just plug your sanding paper up more. So it just saves me a little bit of time. The quality of the product is definitely in the details. So it's the little things like this. You know, if you take your time and just make sure that everything is right before you go to the next step, you're going to end up with a super quality product. You know, it is something that's either going to last you or either somebody else, hopefully a lifetime. You know, this isn't something that you buy and throw away in 2 or 3 years. This is something that you're going to be able to use for, you know, 20, 30, 40 years to come, especially if you take care of it. So, you know, you could end up handing this down to somebody. There's bits of wood glue in here. I mean, there's bits of epoxy on it. The hot glue, there's CA glue. There's all kinds of crap that's dripped down on the inside of this thing. So it really helps to go through with your razor blade and just shave it all off. Probably not going to include it on this video because it'll get a little bit too long, but I will be having a short clip coming up showing, you know, the process of actually applying the epoxy to all the gussets. You basically want to put epoxy on every intersection of different planes inside the paddleboard. So I just mix it up nice and thick and slather it on there. And then of course it's going to have to sit, but well, right now it's going to have to sit for 2 days just because the temperatures are lower. I'm not keeping my shop super warm when I'm not in there. I'm trying to keep it, you know, above 50 degrees during the week. So, you know, once you put that thickened epoxy on all the reinforcement spots, it's going to take a couple days to dry. So, you know, the process is kind of long and drawn out, but it is what it is. So once those reinforcement joints glue, or once they cure, we will come back and completely seal the whole inside of this thing. And then after we get done sealing it, it's gonna have to sit for another 2 or 3 days again, and then we'll come back and do a second coat. Almost done with this little part, and then we'll move on to the bar sander. Get this thing all smoothed out. All right, we got all of those bulkheads smoothed out. All those tabs are cut off. We are ready to get this thing cleaned out, vacuumed up, and we are going to start sealing it. The next video, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in, get the epoxy mixed up, and I'll show you guys, how to dilute it with the denatured alcohol. And yeah, that's it. It's gonna be, I don't, I'm just pumped. I love looking at it. Ba 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 ba. Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. Like and subscribe if you want. Appreciate you coming back, as always. We'll see ya.